Episode 27, Changing into Pajamas and Scattering Petals. Prepared a woman. Ning Xuelua immediately changed to a shy expression when she saw Suyen approaching. It's all because of you, making me so tired. You, clearly, insisted on inviting me. Suyen looked helpless and then lifted the plastic bag in his hand. I bought chicken congee for you to replenish your energy. Stop complaining about being tired. You're annoying. The second scene followed immediately after the first, a fight scene in a bamboo forest. Guaningrong saw that Meng Chang'e had become possessed and couldn't listen to anything. After a brief hesitation, she decided to kill her to prevent future troubles. The martial arts instructor guided them for more than 2 hours, and the two actresses finally learned the choreography. Initially, the director planned to find stunt doubles for them, but Ning Shi was skilled enough. She had worked as a stunt double before, so she didn't need one. Ning Xuelua also insisted on doing it herself. Guo Qixing naturally wanted a better cinematic effect, so he agreed. Professional instructors helped the two actresses put on the harnesses and checked everything thoroughly. Once they were certain there were no issues, the filming began. Meng Chang'e is dead, Guaningrong closed her eyes, saying these sorrowful and regretful words. Standing in front of her was only a beautiful yet dangerous shell, a weapon capable of destroying the world. In the next moment, a surge of murderous intent flashed in Guaningrong's eyes as she attacked Meng Chang'e with her sword. Meng Chang'e seemed to have anticipated that she would do this. Standing calmly, she only moved when the sword was inches away from her nose, gracefully extending her arms and sliding her feet along the ground like a bird in flight, dodging Guaningrong's attack. Guaningrong snorted coldly and attacked again. Meng Chang'e, neither hurried nor slow, avoided the attacks, playing with Guaningrong like a cat playing with a mouse. Eventually, she drew a soft sword hidden in the red silk around her waist and counterattacked with fierce movements. After more than a dozen moves, Guaningrong gradually fell behind. Several times, she almost got knocked off the tree branches by Meng Chang'e. Although Guaningrong was highly skilled, she could only seem like a child compared to Meng Chang'e, who had once slaughtered thousands of enemies and tens of thousands of soldiers. Guaningrong overestimated herself, thinking that Meng Chang'e, who had lived in the palace for a long time, must have regressed in skill. Little did she know that she was facing someone who had once been invincible. In the end, Meng Chang'e had enough fun. Her gaze turned cold, and with a sword carrying the aura of an army, she attacked Guaningrong's chest. Splatter. The sound of a sharp weapon entering flesh. Guaningrong, in pain, covered her chest. Like a broken paper kite, she fell from the sky of the bamboo forest. Next, there would be a close-up shot of Meng Chang'e's expression. Guo Qixing was attentively watching Ning Shi's performance, but he noticed something strange about her expression. Ning Xuelua is injured. Help! Quickly! Suddenly, Ning Shi, who was still suspended mid-air, shouted. After a moment of confusion, the crew finally realized that this wasn't part of the script. Ning Xuelua was genuinely injured. Chaos erupted on set. Everyone rushed towards Ning Xuelua. Once she was brought down, Ning Shi quickly pressed on the bleeding wound on Ning Xuelua. Call an ambulance. As she said this, her body was suddenly pushed away by someone. Suyen rushed over, his face filled with shock, tightly holding Ning Xuelua in his arms. Xuelua? Xuelua, how are you? Brother Yan. It hurts so much. Don't be afraid. I'm here. You'll be fine. You definitely won't have any problems. Damn it, I was doing fine, and then you suddenly pushed me away, looking at her bleeding as if you were heartbroken. Are you crazy? Are you addicted to acting in a melodramatic drama? If the situation were different, Ning Shi really wanted to scold someone with hands on hips. What's going on? Guo Qixing rushed over, his face filled with extreme anger. Ning Shi pinched her forehead. After I inserted the sword, I found that something was wrong. The sword didn't retract as it should. This was a spring-loaded sword that should retract when it encountered resistance. But unexpectedly, it caused this accident. Guo Qixing erupted in anger. Where's the props master? Come here. I've repeatedly emphasized the need to check the props, absolutely no room for accidents. How do you even manage things? The props master ran over in a panic, sweating profusely. Director Guo, I checked it thoroughly, there shouldn't have been any problems. Guo Qixing directly slammed the script into his face, shouting, then tell me what's happening now. The constant issues on the set were pushing his patience to the limit. At this moment, Wang Tai has suddenly asked, who was the last person to touch this sword? It should be Ningxi. After checking, I handed the sword to her, and she kept practicing with it. It's my fault. I should have checked it again after we started filming. The props master apologized repeatedly. Hearing this, Ningxi's pupils suddenly contracted. If she still didn't understand what had happened, there would be no need for her to continue pretending. At this point, everyone on set had different expressions. Guo Qixing glared at the props master and then looked at Ningxi with a complex expression. Finally, suppressing his anger, he said, "We'll talk about this later. Quickly get her to the hospital. Also, seal off the scene. Don't let any information leak out. Be City First People's Hospital." Suyan was accompanying Ning Xuelua to deal with the wound. Ningxi stood in the corridor outside the ward, leaning against the cold wall, her mind racing. Ning Xuelua was truly the originator of the delicate white flower, even intensifying her act with a self-harm tactic. Was she so addicted to acting in melodramas? If it weren't for the inappropriate circumstances, Ningxi would really want to criticize her. While lost in thought, she suddenly heard hurried footsteps. As she raised her head, a loud slap echoed, and a fiery pain spread across her face. "Beast! How could you do this to Xuelua? What grievances do you have with her? It was me who wanted to keep her in the Ning family. I wanted to spoil and cherish her. What did Xuelua do wrong?" The person who arrived was hysterically shouting at her, her eyes filled with hatred as if facing a sworn enemy. Ningxi wiped off a trace of blood from the corner of her mouth, slowly raised her head, and stared motionlessly at the sophisticated and noble woman in front of her, her mother. Behind Zhuang Lingyu stood her father, Ning Yaohua, with the same disgusted expression. "If anything happens to Xuelua, I won't spare you." The two people in front of her, one her biological mother and the other her biological father, hadn't asked for the truth from beginning to end. Instead, they came with accusations and threats. Ningxi had a million malicious words that could make them froth at the mouth with anger, but at this moment, she felt like all the strength had been drained from her body. She didn't want to say a word, she just gazed coldly at those two people. Abomination. What kind of look is that? Ning Yaohua was furious. Just as he was about to explode, the door to the ward was pushed open from the inside. Ning Yaohua and Zhuang Lingyu temporarily forgot about Ningxi and hurriedly went to meet the newcomer. "Suyan, how is Xuelua?" "For now, she's fine. You can go in and see her," Suyan replied wearily. Then, he looked at Ningxi outside the door with a heavy gaze. Zhuang Lingyu immediately rushed to Ning Xuelua's bedside, inspecting her. "My darling, how are you? Does it still hurt? Where does it hurt?" Ning Xuelua weakly smiled. "Mom, I'm fine now. The doctor said it's just a superficial wound." Zhuang Lingyu touched her head with distress. "You, a young girl, still saying it's fine with such a big scar. If the sword had gone any deeper, you might have lost your life. That girl, why is she so heartless? At least you should call her sister." "Sister, she..." Ning Xuelua's expression turned melancholy, but she forced herself to continue. "Dad, Mom, don't blame sister. It's not her fault, there was a problem with the prop." Ning Yaohua snorted. "Silly child, how can you be so foolish? How could there be a problem with the prop that was perfectly fine?" He then angrily shouted at Ningxi outside the door, "Beast, why are you still standing there? Hurry up and come in to apologize to Xuelua." Ningxi's expression remained indifferent, like an indestructible mask. "I have nothing to apologize for. If you want me to apologize, present evidence. If there's evidence, I'd even give my life to her." Ning Yaohua shook his finger at her. "You're still being stubborn. I'm sparing you by not investigating further. Are you waiting for the coffin before shedding tears? Do you want to completely ruin my face?" He always valued his reputation above all else in Ning Yaohua's eyes. Ningxi sneered. "If I really wanted to retaliate against her, what you'd be seeing now is her corpse. Is there a chance for a father-daughter show of deep affection here?" Ning Yaohua slammed the table. "Stop playing word games with me. Ningxi, will you apologize or not? If you sincerely admit your mistake and apologize, and then withdraw from the entertainment industry, I can pretend this incident never happened. If you insist on going your own way..." "Thanks, but I choose to go my own way." Ningxi lightly scoffed, waved her hand, and then turned around without looking back. Zhuang Lingyu couldn't believe her eyes. "Look at her. I can't believe I gave birth to such a wretched thing." Ning Yaohua was infuriated. "Abomination. This is truly infuriating. Next time, I've already let her off once. But she actually did such a thing. This time she hurt you. Maybe next time, she'll really try to kill someone. This matter absolutely can't be let go like this. But, Dad. Alright, don't worry about this matter. I'll handle it. Yes, let your dad deal with it. You take care of yourself. Your dad will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. Ning Xuelua's eyes reddened, enduring her grief, her face filled with gratitude. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Actually, you don't need to do this. I'm really fine. Suyen, who had been silent since earlier, patted her shoulder. Xuelua, you're too kind. Ningxi has gone too far this time. Uncle is right, we can't let her off so easily. When Ningxi walked out of the hospital, it was already late at night. The sky was devoid of stars and the moon, with only a few sporadic vehicles and pedestrians on the street. She admitted that Ning Xuelua's methods were crude and lacked technical finesse, but she had still succeeded. She always used what used to matter most to her to strike her down. Such as Suyen, such as her parents. Sometimes, she even began to deeply doubt herself, wondering if everything was her fault. Was she really that terrible, so detestable, that they all despised her and abandoned her? She even thought about whether her struggles and efforts until now had any meaning at all. Even if she achieved her goals one day, obtained everything, so what? Who in this world would care? She would still be alone. Ningxi walked aimlessly on the roadside, completely unaware that an unmarked black car was stealthily following her. When she reached a deserted area, two people quickly got out of the car. One covered her mouth and nose with a damp cloth from behind, while the other bound her with a rope and forcefully dragged her into the car. The entire process took less than 5 seconds. By the time Ningxi realized what was happening, the drug had quickly drained her strength. Her body was tightly bound, leaving no room for resistance. A bitter smile appeared on Ningxi's pale lips. Betrayed and kidnapped again, her birthday was indeed eventful. The car drove smoothly for a long time. Ningxi's eyes were covered with a black cloth, so she didn't know where the car was heading or who the other party was. Was it someone sent by Ning Xuelua? Unlikely, as Ning Xuelua had already triumphed today, there was no need for further action. So, who could it be? Whom had she offended recently? As Ningxi puzzled over this, she overheard a man making a phone call in front. Hey, Mr. Zhu? Yes, we've got the person. We're on our way. Yes, rest assured, we'll definitely deliver her to you on time. This girl is quite extraordinary. Even my buddy and I were tempted. Ha ha ha, how dare we? We'll definitely deliver her to you intact. Ningxi's heart shivered. Mr. Zhu? She suddenly remembered the incident from yesterday, where she mistakenly entered the wrong private room at the Mingzhu Hotel. Could this Mr. Zhu be Zhu Xiangqing? Did he not succeed yesterday, and now, unable to let it go, he sent someone to kidnap her? The more Ningxi thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. She cursed silently. When she was about to figure out a way to escape, the effect of the drug intensified, and her consciousness became increasingly blurred. Soon, she fell into complete darkness. When Ningxi regained some consciousness, she found herself still blindfolded. She heard two women talking in the room, but her foggy mind couldn't quite make out their words. She only felt them quickly removing all her clothes, changing her into an extremely thin nightgown. Then, they scattered something similar to flower petals all over her body. The more Ningxi thought about it, the more something seemed off. Considering Zhu Xiangqing's impatient character, if he wanted a woman, he would never be this patient. If he wanted to get her, why go through the trouble of changing her clothes and scattering flower petals? She even smelled perfume they had sprayed on her. Damn pervert. Old pervert. If you want to kill or mutilate, just do it directly. What the hell are you doing? Zhu Xiangqing got wind of a business cocktail party tonight, and Lu Tingxiao would be attending. He rushed over early, meticulously preparing several things, and as he had initially anticipated, Lu Tingxiao was as unyielding as ever. A priceless antique painting that he had managed to get his hands on was ignored without a glance. Even when he hinted at gifting a fresh-faced, unopened little girl to him, Lu Tingxiao's expression remained indifferent, much like looking at a common vegetable. Anxiously awaiting, his long-awaited phone call finally came. Hello, why are you calling now? Have you sorted things out? All set, we're on our way. Hurry. You must get the person here within 10 minutes. Room 808, don't mess it up. Rest assured, we'll make sure to deliver on time. Ah, President Zhu, the girl you found is really something, both my buddy and I are tempted. If you dare lay a finger on her, forget about the rest of the money. This woman is valuable to me. Not a hair less. Not far away, Lu Tingxiao, seated on a high chair, glanced at his watch, adjusted his cuffs, stood up, and seemed ready to bid farewell. At that moment, a man emerged from the swimming pool. Shaking his head, he splashed a refreshing spray of water, revealing a healthy and enticing wheat-colored skin, a well-defined six-pack, and below that, the envy-inducing V-line. The man, with an arrogant and refined face, grabbed Lu Tingxiao's leg just as he was about to leave. Displeased, he said, Hey, Lu Tingxiao, I arranged this gathering tonight. Can't you give me a little face? You've only been here for half an hour, and you're leaving? Moreover, it's a cocktail party, you didn't even have a sip of wine. With so much fine wine and beautiful women, isn't there anything to keep you here a bit longer? Let go. Lu Tingxiao frowned, his expression suggesting that he could crush his bones in the next second. At this moment, Lu Jingli walked over with a cup of wine in hand, smiling, Big brother, can't you see that my brother's mind is not here tonight? Staying for half an hour is already giving you face. Lying on the edge of the swimming pool, Mo Lingtian, with a nonchalant smile, said, his mind is not here with me, then where is it? He doesn't have a woman. Lu Jingli, with an expression that could shock his eyeballs, chuckled, who said he doesn't have one, he's about to have it. What? That's too much. Mo Lingtian was truly astonished, jumping out of the pool in betrayal, his face full of anger. Brothers vowed to walk through life together, who gets a girlfriend first is the loser. Lu Tingxiao, with an expressionless face, cast a disdainful glance at him, I don't remember agreeing to such a boring thing. Lu Jingli couldn't help but comment, Big brother, you can do whatever you want as a single man, but my brother has a son and carries the responsibility of finding a mother for him. Who is the woman? Mo Lingtian asked with a tightly furrowed brow. Lu Tingxiao glanced at his watch again, his impatience evident, and walked away with large strides, completely ignoring him. Damn. He actually ignored me. Having a woman makes people heartless. Mo Lingtian cursed angrily from behind. As Lu Tingxiao left, Lu Jingli followed, more interested in how his brother would pick up girls at this boring cocktail party. He, brother, are you in such a hurry to go back to celebrate your wife's birthday? Come on, tell me, what surprises do you have prepared? I'll give you some suggestions. Lu Jingli chattered incessantly behind Lu Tingxiao, and suddenly, a plump ball burst out from the side. President Lu. Second young master. The person, sweating profusely, seemed to have hurriedly chased after them. Lu Jingli raised an eyebrow, Oh, President Zhu. What's the rush? I'm looking for President Lu. Zhu Xiangqing looked obsequiously at Lu Tingxiao, handing over a thin, gold-stamped room card, President Lu, this is a little token of my appreciation. Please accept it. The meaning couldn't be clearer, he had prepared a woman for Lu Tingxiao in the room.